the left has done I hate to say it, a massive job of winning the language. I hate to give Saul Alinsky any credit for anything, but he had a quote one time where he hit the nail on the head. He said, "The one who controls the language wins the masses." So through negative, malicious, and vile propaganda, the left has demonized that word. So I've learned that the best way to defeat Marxism and send the left back to France is with the liberty message of Frederick Douglass, Frederick Douglassism. And I'm a conservative, Christy, but because that word conservative is so demonized by the left, soon you tell someone you're a conservative, they think you're a Nazi or you're a racist, and you just grew 7 heads. So now you're on the defense. Now you're going to have confrontations instead of conversations. And so what we've been doing for the past 12 years, we've been traveling the country, empowering conservatives how to trump the race card based on the liberty message of Frederick Douglass. For example, I am a conservative, but that's not how I define myself politically. In terms of my political identity, excuse me, I'm a Frederick Douglass Republican, meaning that I believe in the life empowering values of Douglass, the things he wrote about: respect for the Constitution, respect for life, the belief of limited power of government, economic prosperity, free speech, school choice, immigration, the right to keep and bear arms, the right to vote. He wrote about all those things, the things we're trying to defend today and protect. Thank God Douglas gives us a literary legacy that we can leverage if we're wise to save this nation.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this issue of how much the division has accelerated under the call or the guise of saying that we need to learn more about diversity. I have personally experienced this. Two of at least two couple of my best friends that I've shared so many things with, our relationship really broke down when
Hmm.
I was speaking against just the current narrative. It was as simple as that from my perception.
Yeah,
Suddenly they were calling into question my ideals and how I felt about African Americans, and it was just like, wait, how did we get here? How have
right,
I been
right.
best friends with you guys for so long, and suddenly out of the blue, because of a political unrest environment, you're now questioning how I feel about
Yeah,
everyone. It's been deeply painful. It's been really hard to lose those friendships, and sad because it's like, that I know that they're believing a lie and they've gotten sucked into all this. How do you approach friendships and relationships?
very good question. And I pray that in my question, I'm gonna answer your question and bring some political healing to with your friends and your family members. Here's what conservatives get wrong. They think they can go out here. Well, first of all, we got to understand that as a conservative, because of negative propaganda and the left of the masters of that, the masters of deceit and propaganda, we have been discredited before we get a chance to speak. We've already when we label ourselves conservative, we're already being discredited. So when we do speak, oftentimes it produces and it generates a confrontation because we're using a word. When you tell somebody you're a conservative, you just admitted to them that you're a racist.
And in this case, I never said I was a conservative, a liberal, or Republican, or a Democrat. I just simply was pointing out that the media wasn't being fair to the opposition, in this case, Trump. So I didn't even have
Yes,
to be a Trump supporter. It was just that I wasn't a Trump um assailant, I guess. It
right,
was
right, 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 right.
it
Yeah,
wasn't even extreme.
yeah, and then another part of that, the other person is probably generalizing anyway. So when you said Trump, the generalization kicks in. So what we have to do as conservatives, and it gets back to what I mentioned earlier, we got to learn how to create trust and credibility for ourselves in order to get people to listen to us. And the way we do that, and this is something we've been teaching for the past 12 years, you learn how to leverage the liberty message of Frederick Douglass. Because when you take the CRT, for example, and their assertions that blacks are perpetual victims and whites are inherently racist and there are no absolutes, Douglass actually talked about that in one of his essays. So when you take what Douglass had to say, and you can take that critical race theory and those three assertions primarily, you can dismantle it. And when people listen to, to Douglas because how you gonna argue with a runaway slave about his love for liberty and the things he had to say? So Douglas, in my view, not only was he an abolitionist and advised Lincoln about ending slavery, but he is the greatest thinker, writer, and speaker about liberty and the U.S. Constitution. And thank God we have that literary legacy. The thing is, we got to be wise enough to leverage and to integrate his liberty message into our conversations. Because when you leverage what an ex-slave has to say about those tenets of liberty, it resonates with people. And that's what we have to do. We got to put Frederick Douglass against Karl Marx. That's the battle. The problem is, as conservatives, we don't leverage Frederick Douglass. The left is leveraging Karl Marx. And we got to put Douglas on our team, give him the ball, and get out of the way. You don't have to call any special plays. Just let the message of Douglas resonate with people. So when you leverage the liberty message of a former slave, it resonates with people because no matter which victim category the left try to put people in, no American today can out-victimize Frederick Douglass. So his message resonates and people get it because Douglas wasn't a slave owner, he was a slave. Douglas wasn't a racist, he was a victim of racism. So in his speeches, Douglas affirmed the founding fathers, he affirmed the Constitution, and that's what the left does not have an answer for, and it never will.